Welcome to Stand Up for Nuclear. This weekend saw the first ever pro-nuclear energy event in Luxembourg in its history. The event went spectacularly well. It was well received with the public, and we even got 3 full minutes on prime time television and on Luxembourg TV. I'm Emil, and I am interviewing Benjamin Ptak, chairperson of Lëtz Atom, the pro-nuclear association in Luxembourg. So, Benjamin, um, this is the first event that you organized in Luxembourg ever. We just had the event. How did it go? Let's start with that.
It went better than expected. So initially, I thought that maybe a lot of people would be very reserved or maybe also against it because the Luxembourgish mentality is kind of different than in the rest of the world. But the event was so a lot of people came to our booth and engaged with our nuclear activists. And in fact, a lot of people, when they asked, oh, "Are you supporting nuclear power?" And when we said yes, they say, "Oh yeah, it's awesome. We need nuclear power." So there were obviously some people that were a little bit skeptical, but when we explained to them what is nuclear power, so they were a little bit less skeptical. And obviously, there are always people who are fundamentally opposed to nuclear power, but they were not they were just a minority of people.
And how did Let's Atom became to be? So it is a new organization. How did you start it?
Uh, Well, I have to thank a very close friend of mine who allowed me to in January to assist a meeting about how to invest in nuclear power in Zurich, and I was able to meet so Grant Isaac, which is so he's one of the head of Cameco, which is a nuclear fuel company, and this man actually connected me to Mark Nelson. And somewhere in March of the year, so we met Mark Nelson in Paris, and he was so enthusiastic that some Luxembourgish guy wanted to do something in nuclear power. So he said, "Yeah, we're now making a group." So it just began as a WhatsApp group, and now I'm looking to make it official. So we have a name, we have now a website that I still have to finish, but yeah, we're. And because we were invited in events, so in Belgium, in Spain, and Portugal, so I had to do something. So this is how everything. So yeah, it's everything happened very fast in a year. I jokingly said I made a baby because it just everything happened in 9 months.
Uh, and maybe just something about yourself. What made you interested in nuclear, and maybe something about your background. Where are you coming from to come to nuclear?
So I'm a physicist, so I have studied physics in Pierre and Marie Curie at Sorbonne in Paris, and now I'm studying nuclear engineering at Penn State in Pennsylvania. And the way I approach nuclear is because I always was attracted to energy in general, so steam engines and all that. And one day I asked myself a question, with all issues that we have with climate change, and we're trying to push renewable energy, if we suppose that humanity as a whole always strive for the most efficient technology, why isn't renewable being the new standard and everyone will be deploying it massively? And with that, I started to study how much it will cost to be 100% renewable versus 100% nuclear for different countries like Germany, France, and obviously Luxembourg. And I came to the conclusion that nuclear power is by far the cheapest technology that you can deploy, but also because you have the added capacity to use cogeneration, so use district heating, seawater desalination, which is something that renewable energy doesn't really offer. It's just we make electricity. So you have here so nuclear energy is now a technology that has so many things to offer to us.
And so the country of Luxembourg is very small. So in most countries we discuss an energy mix, but in the case of Luxembourg, would a few SMRs, small modular reactors, not be enough to power the entire country then?
Absolutely. So Luxembourg at most consume 1.2 gigawatts of electricity. So this represents one nuclear reactor from Cattenom, which is 20 kilometers away from the city itself. And yeah, a couple of small modular reactors would definitely work. And actually, if we were to use nuclear power in Luxembourg, I would recommend the buildings a few small reactors, because having all your eggs in one basket, it's kind of dangerous.
Yeah, they have to be refueled, and so an outage for like 3 or 4 weeks might not be the best of setups. Yeah, so Luxembourg is a very small country. I believe it is something like 600,000 people that live in the country. How much energy does Luxembourg use anyway?
Around approximately 6 terawatt hours per year. And so
Energy or for electricity?
electricity, and for energy, so we use gas. We also heat our home with fuel. So that's mostly the northern part of the country. And yeah, so obviously a lot of fuel is used by the cars, so diesel and petrol. I think if I remember correctly, my statistics, the CO2 outputs of all the cars in Luxembourg represent like 50% plus, something like this. So yeah, yeah, so that's it.
And is most of it currently being produced inside Luxembourg, or?
Oh yeah. So we produce only 19% of our energy. Half of that comes from solar power and wind power, and the other half, so you have a tiny fraction that comes from hydropower, and the rest is gas, fuel, and also we have biogas, biomass, and waste incineration.
Okay, so a lot of it is imported, so like 80%, I believe. So then Luxembourg is already using a lot of nuclear power anyway, but from France.
Yes, so we have we import mostly from Germany and Belgium. So the line from Belgium actually takes some electricity from France, which is nuclear powered, and therefore we transmit some nuclear energy. And the Germans, so obviously they have so they are renewable, but also a lot of coal that is providing us our power.
So in the case of Luxembourg, what are the main power players? Is it mostly households, or is there is there an industrial sector that's using a lot of energy, or where is it going to?
By far the industrial sector. So the industrial sector represents 0.06% of all the consumers, and yet they consume 57% of all the electricity in Luxembourg. So that it's kind of expected, because we have ArcelorMittal, which is a steel producing company, and melting steel doesn't come cheap, so it's kind of normal. And yeah, so after that, the second sector is the professional sector, so the commerce and so on. So they consume what is it, 20-ish%, and then only the household in Luxembourg, they consume like 16% of the electricity.
So maybe zooming in a little bit on ArcelorMittal. In the Netherlands, we have Tata Steel, of course, big industrial plant as well. And they are currently moving towards hydrogen production of steel. Is a similar discussion going on with ArcelorMittal in Luxembourg?
Yes. If you look in the newspaper here in Luxembourg, Arcelor is trying to do a lot of things to try to become a little bit more carbon neutral. Obviously, it's a very hard endeavor, and that's why I suggest that small modular reactors could be a solution for them, because they could produce themselves their own power, and also maybe sell some of the heat as district heating for the people surrounding the.
But also produce the hydrogen they need.
Exactly. So yeah, that would be for them the best of all worlds, basically.
So you're just starting out. What is your picture? What do you want to be in like a year or maybe 2 years? I suppose we don't have an SMR built just yet, but what do you want to be?
A lot of things. No. So actually, I want to make my own company here in Luxembourg. So I want first to reindustrialize the country, and this because we are mostly a banking country and so a country of services. So, and we don't have a lot of industries, and I would like to bring my brick to the wall, and maybe help the country diversify itself. And then I also want to make more events, so try to promote nuclear power, and hopefully, have the government recognize nuclear power as a solution, and hopefully maybe one day get a nuclear reactor here.
Then Benjamin, good luck, and maybe we'll see NSMR soon enough.
Yeah, thank you very much for having me.